Hi, I'm Scott Borden, CBIZ's consumer-driven healthcare consultant, also known as HSA guy. 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 Today I'm here once again with Chris Schechinger, Director of Business Development here in Kansas City. Chris, introduce yourself.
Thanks, Scott. Yes, I'm the Director of Business Development here in Kansas City. I've been with CBIZ over 10 years, and I cover the entire Midwest for CBIZ.
So, Director of Business Development. I like to call you Mr. One CBIZ because I'm very impressed with your knowledge about how all the different pieces of CBIZ can fit together. You work very well with the Employee Benefits Division, with Human Capital Management, and then your specialty is finding money for employers through the Employee Retention Tax Credit. And then the thing we're going to be talking about today is the cost recovery services.
Yes. So you're right. So having been with CBIZ over 10 years, when I sit down with my clients and I have a business discussion is what I call it, and I'll find out what their needs are, whether it be, employer benefits and insurance, property casualty, payroll, HR, 401k, tax, audit, accounting help, bookkeeping help. I talk ways we can maybe save them money through cost recovery services, those types of things. So when I identify these things or these areas that we could potentially help our clients in, I bring in the right people to help me help my clients.
So everyone should be calling Chris first, and then he'll tell you where to go to access the rest of CBIZ.
That's correct. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that actually is a pretty good strategy. So what is cost recovery services? And you had mentioned before about potential tax savings, found money for some of these employees.
For sure.
Right?
So we offer a lot of services here at CBIZ that are contingency fee based, simply meaning that if we don't find savings for you, you don't pay us a dime. So part of those services, we look at credits and incentives. So if you have a business that is expanding, adding headcount, breaking new ground on a new facility or adding to an existing facility, we should talk, because every state has some type of program for businesses that are growing and adding good paying jobs in their state. Again, potentially found money, right? Looking at potentially sales and use tax, accounts payables, telecom spend, shipping spend. If you have it, if you're leasing a facility, and we can look at your CAM lease and see if audit that. So there's so many different ways we can help our clients save money, and there's no out-of-pocket expense. We only take a fee if we're successful in finding new savings.
So let's say, well, how often do you find $100,000, six-figure savings through your tax recovery or through your cost recovery services?
That's probably the norm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's more than not.
Okay. So if you find $100,000, and let's say you're a manufacturing company working off of, let's be generous nowadays with the economy, things going on with inflation, the cost of money, finding money, and the Great Resignation, and all of these costs keep skyrocketing for employers. If you're netting 5% on a manufacturing, congratulations. But that means you would have to generate $2 million worth of new revenue as a manufacturer just to have $100,000 added to your bottom line. What we're talking about here is not having to produce new things for that $100,000. You don't have to find $2 million, hire new people, and put the infrastructure in place for $2 million worth of additional manufacturing. We're talking about money that's sitting there potentially in your books and you don't even know about it, correct?
That is correct.
And you don't charge anything for the initial conversation.
Nope.
Consultation. And then if you find it, then just a small percentage of what they
That's correct.
find comes back to us, and they keep the rest.
Right. Traditionally, our fees are between 20 and 30%.
Okay.
So for example, for sales and use tax reviews, we can go back 36 months. It's a rolling 36 months.
All right.
So if we find savings, we only split what we found in that 36-month period. You get all that savings moving forward. Same thing with our accounts payables, right? If we find duplicate payments and monies that you overpaid vendors, we only get that money back for the period that we're looking at under the contract.
is it very common that a manufacturer or an employer already has an accounting department in-house that they know how to look for this stuff, or is that something that is just kind of not really the norm? So we're looking for things that they don't know about.
Yeah. So, for example, accounts payable clerks is traditionally a high turnover area.
Okay.
So, the general rule, and when I talk to my clients, the general rule is if they're not sure about it, they're going to charge tax for it, right? So they could be paying tax on things that are exempt.
Okay.
And so that's part of our review process is we look at that and say, okay, this widget that you bought shouldn't have been taxed. It was part of the manufacturing process. Therefore, it should have been exempt.
So we want you to pay what you owe, but we don't want you to pay more than you owe.
That is correct.
And for some employers, they could be sitting on 6 figures or more worth of money sitting there on their books right now that we could claw back, if you will.
Right.
And it can be added to their bottom line at no risk. Chris, how can our viewers get in touch with you?
Sure. My phone number is 913-948-4999. And my email is cschechinger@cbiz.com.
Chris, thank you once again for joining. I learn every time we get together. I really look forward to it. And he's a big Jeep guy too, so you might want to ask him about his Jeep someday.
Thanks, Scott.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Take care.